in other geographical locations, or even that can be used for other purpose. So sometimes a device can be bundled with the other subscription or other offers, and thinking that the user should be using only for that particular intended purpose. And once the user is having the device, and if they're able to perform the removing these software restrictions, then probably they can I can say use the device beyond its original I can say the original intention. So how many of you know about this jailbreak? So before going into the next topic, so how many of us heard about this jailbreak? If any one of your friends living in US or Canada, probably you'll be hearing this very frequently. I can give some more information about this jailbreaking status. Some of the Apple devices, so that will be sold with a kind of a contract in US and Canada, and probably the device can be used for 3 years or 5 years, in the sense like they will be selling the device at very cheap rate. In the sense they'll be subscribing for 3 more years for the mobile data connectivity, right? So what will happen? The device cost will be absorbed by the telecom service provider over there, because the person is going to get a service for another 3 years or 5 years. So we all remember that when the Reliance Telecom first they introduced the Geo phone, so everyone got the phone for 501 rupees. So probably that
So
is
it's a
not the
locked
actual
device,
cost.
right? Locked
Yes,
device for to a particular
they,
service provider.
exactly. They will lock the device to the particular service provider, and also there will be a geographical lock. Also, you cannot use outside US. You have to use only within the US, and you cannot use it with other service provider also. Like how we all got the Reliance 501 phone 7 8 years back, I believe, when Reliance Geo came into the not the Geo Reliance, the original Reliance came into the telecom sector. So what they did, like at the time it was CDMA phones, I believe, code divisional multiple access. So what they did, like they provided a handset, but you cannot change the mobile number. You cannot change your service provider, and you have to pay in post-dated checks for 3 years. So probably a part of the instrument cost will be paid in installments, kind of an EMI, and people were paying for nearly 3 years or 5 years based on their schemes. So like that, there will be some kind of a restrictions that will be placed on these devices, hoping the devices will be used within the geographical location for 3 years. By the time the service providers and the handset providers, they'll be getting their benefit. So what people are doing, like once they are buying the Apple device at very cheap rate in US and Canada, so they are shipping this to other countries, for example, India or any other Asian countries, where they'll be removing the software restrictions, and then later they can use it with their local service providers. So this concept is called the jailbreaking concept. So the software restrictions can be removed, and they can freely use for the other purpose also. And this happens very commonly for the Apple devices. And now we're going to discuss the goals of network access control. Like it will help you to make a control of like which user needs to be allowed to get the network resources, and also able to identify them, able to authenticate them, and also help to get authorized for each and every actions they perform. It's a kind of enforcement of the security policies in various network devices. It could be a switches, routers, or any other network devices. So this will make sure that it is in compliant with the corporate requirements. IAM process, like the identity and access management. So because what happens here, like the user needs to get authenticated, and by using the Active Directory and the LDAP, the other services, the user can be identified and authenticated, and based on that, the security level of the device, then the user will be getting access. Pre-admission and post-admission, we just discussed about the two various prevailing designs in NAC. Like the pre-admission will help to check prior to being allowed on the network, and this is purely to prevent the endpoints to get access. For example, if the device is running with out of date antivirus signatures, probably if the device is not connected for a couple of days time, probably the user may be on vacation, or taking a week off, or some other reasons, or there is no internet connectivity, like that. There could be many reasons why the antivirus signatures are not getting updated. So what happens, like the back office servers, so that will make sure to isolate these devices to push the required components to get updated. Post admission, the another prevailing design in NAC makes sure that for the user actions, I can say after authentication. After authentication, so what the user is going to perform on the various resources. Again, this will be kind of a policy-based decision. Like there will be an infosec policy which has been implemented on the corporate network. So that will help them to validate and to provide the uh, approvals. Agent-based protection, agentless based protection. There are two varieties that comes in your NAC. And the fundamental idea behind the NAC is to allow the network to make access control decisions based on about the intelligence about the endpoint devices, like whether it is having the latest component and the various other requirements. It will help them to get a kind of end system characteristics, a kind of a report where it will help using many techniques. Scanning is one of the technique, and as well as to making sure to scan the other network inventory, which will help them to get the characteristics in a remote manner. They can able to scan the device. They can able to identify what is a component level that is available, and based on that, it will be taking the actions. And we could see, like even the operating system vendors, for example, Microsoft also adopted this approach way before, like even in Windows XP, Vista, and 7 also. There will be an agent. There will be agent sitting on the host, and it will make sure to monitor the device and to get the baseline security configuration, and as well as the various protection also. And this practice is available even in other platform also, Mac as well as in the Linux also. It is compatible for that. So there are two ways, like one is the out of band. So when you say out of band, like the agents will be distributed on the stations, and it will be reporting to the central console, and it will make sure to compare with the security policies and whether it is aligned with the requirements. When I say inline, this is like it will be kind of an internal firewall. There is no central server here. Like it will be like a kind of an internal firewalls within the system itself, and it will monitor the policy requirements, and it will monitor the other security configurations like inline. There are advantages as well as disadvantages in both the models. And agentless, like it is also having both the advantages. Sometimes the implementation will be very easy, and also to take the remediation on the non-compliant devices. Also, that will be enforced. And we're going to discuss the another concepts of NAC, like it may based on the outcome of the security checks. It can take an action. It will help to remediate. Then it will help them to quarantine, and it can direct to captive portals. So like the basic idea is like some of the endpoints will be having the required level may not meet the corporate requirements. So initially that will be denied because probably the patch levels or the other uh, components may not be updated. So there is a need to update. There is a need to remediate these systems. So before providing them the access, so that is where the remediation is coming into the picture. The NAC solution will help to remediate the required components on the endpoints. Then quarantine. So quarantine, in the sense like it's a kind of I can say restricted or it's kind of a controlled IP network, and the endpoint which is requesting access will be routed within the corporate network only to certain hosts, only to certain applications or systems. So this is like helping to get an update of the out of date, I can say, the components. So here um, the process which is happening at the background is to upgrade the patches or the update the various components, and which will help the device to be compliant till it will be in a quarantine mode. Then it can able to get the access. And some of the other management techniques is about the ARP or the NDP, basically the address resolution protocol, so which will help to map the hardware address against the IP address. Then capital portals like this will intercept the HTTP service, and instead of providing them direct access to the required portal, what happens like it will check whether the system is having the components, and if it is not that, it will direct to the capital portal where you will be finding the resources to get updated. Then once the system is updated, then the user will be allowed to access the other portal. So this is like when we pay for the paid wireless network. Sometimes we pay for 30 minutes and we'll be allowed to use the internet. So once the 30 minutes is passed, then again we'll be reaching the capital portals. Again, you have to extend your session by paying for another 30 minutes or 1 hour, and then you will be allowed to navigate to the other web pages. Otherwise, you will be only getting access to the capital portals, some of the paid wireless networks. The same way. Like even when you go to the airport also, so probably you will be given 30 minutes free Wi-Fi, right? So your device can get 30 minutes free Wi-Fi network connectivity. Once 30 minutes is passed by, then you'll be reaching the capital portal. Either you have to recharge or you have to use some other mobile number for the identity, then you will be getting another 30 minutes. Like when people are using more than one SIM card, where they'll be providing, like they'll be using the advantage of it, right? Any one subscriber number, you'll be getting a 30 minutes free Wi-Fi connectivity. And once the time is elapsed, then you'll be reaching only the capital portal. Even though your device is connected to that particular Wi-Fi network, you'll be unable to navigate to the other portals, and there will be a challenge in that. And like that, the organization will be redirecting the device to the capital portals, and once the components are updated, then they can able to navigate to the other websites and the web pages. So three possible actions: either it can be a remediation, then it can be a quarantine, or it can be a capital portals. Then mobile MAC, like in a mobile deployment, sometimes the employees will be connecting over various wireless networks. For example, when they are moving around within the campus, so probably they may not be connected to they may not be in a wired network. So probably they'll be connected to the wireless, and again they'll be hopping between different access points. They may not be accessing from the same access points, and also like the user should have access, and also there should be automated remediation because the user cannot wait for a long to get authenticated in the network and to update their components and then they can able to access the business resources. So the requirement here is like the device that needs to be quickly scanned, and any components that needs to be updated based on the security policy. So it has to be updated, and the user should get the access to the required resources. So probably in mobile MAC, there may be a relaxation of the policy. For example, the lower grade concern, higher grade concern. Sometimes the antivirus signature probably N minus one, so maybe considers a lower grade concern to the other, and probably the user may get access. Kind of a simple warning, and then the user will need to initiate some manual actions to update their components. Maybe once they connect to the wired network. So, and also there could be an automated remediation for the various security policies, so pushing the security patches and the updates probably after working hours or after the peak hours. So probably it can be these devices will be getting an update, because the ultimate goal here is to balance the security against the workers' productive also. So both business as well as the security needs to have the balanced kind of an approach. So some of the lower grade concern, so probably that can be remediated later also in terms of mobile NAC. So some of the goals or concepts, it should be precise and should be a timely remediation. And also it should be very specific what component that needs to be updated, what patches that needs to be updated. It should be ordered for a purpose, the higher grade, then the medium grade and the low grade concern or the risk. Then also this can lead to an increase in understanding. Also the decrease in uncertainty when the device is getting connected uh, in the mobile network. So next topic we are going to discuss about the various access control tests, because we need to make sure that the device are getting the right policies and having the required components. So in order to meet that, we need to make sure that a lot of tests that needs to be performed. And one of those requirements are listed here. What are the various tests that needs to be made of? And also, like first, they need to understand like whether it can evaluate the compliance level of the user system. For example, the antivirus, the host-based intrusion prevention system, the other system patch level compliance. So like that, whether the NAC solution can help them to test the device which is trying to get access. That's the first requirement. Second, like how it is going to consider the security status of the user system and how it is going to handle the multiple user commits. For example, the device can be a managed device. The device can be an unmanaged device. Sometimes it could be a guest device. So how the devices are going to get identified, because there will be a lot of multiple user communities, and also how it is going to accommodate varied user platforms, Windows-based systems or Mac-based systems or Linux-based systems, how it is going to get identified. So these are the various things that needs to be tested from the NAC security solutions, and also about the detail in the results about after the security assessment, how detailed it should be, and also like how the assessment results that can trigger the remediation stats, like what needs to be done for that particular endpoint, which is in falling in short of the corporate requirements. And here the author is saying like the NAC enforcement. So this can be viewed along two axes. One is like the level of detail, as well as the second one is about the location. And there are four results that can happen after the security assessment. The NAC can take a decision like go network. When it says go network, the device is up to date. So the request from the user can be allowed and permitted access, and it is saying the device can go to the network. Second, no go network. the sense like some components are falling in short, so it has to be remediated before providing the access. It's a straight, simple no go to network. And third one, like virtual LAN based access restrictions. Some components which needs to be updated with the backend back office servers. So the initial access request that can be allowed for a restricted VLANs, so that the device can be get updated and the device can able to access the corporate resources. And the fourth will be like a kind of simple packet filters, be stateful firewalling, so which will help to fit in your network access control plans. So based on that, you'll be finding a kind of a four types of enforcement which is possible: go to the network, or no go to the network, and VLAN based restrictions, and simple packet filters. And various tests that needs to be conducted, both internal interface as well as external interface, and as well as at the DMZs. So internal, we all know that within the corporate network, devices will be placed. External, outside the corporate network. So we do have another zone called demilitarized zone, DMZs, where you cannot have the robust level of security. Also, you cannot leave the systems without security also. So there'll be like less security when you compare the internal systems, and you should have some kind of controls, some security over there. For example, some of the web servers, email servers that can be placed in your DMCs, so that the public can have access to the web servers, and there'll be it is based on the user credentials where they can able to log into that particular server. Again, these some of the services which needs to be accessed by the public users, so going to be placed in the DMCs. So to evaluate the location, we need to assess assess like three options for locating the network access control enforcement. First thing, like at the point of network access, and second one behind the point of network access, and third one like at the core of the network. So you're going to map your entire network, and you're going to test at the point of network access where you'll be able to get into the network. Then behind the point of network access, and third one at the core of network. Some of the key factors that needs to be considered when we implement the policy server. We need to know about how the policy server, the various client security products that are being integrated, so that will help them to get an update, and also about the policy description and the various types of deployments, and how it can be the functions can be delivered. So there will be a lot of tests that needs to be performed based on the security configuration of the endpoint devices, so which will help to grant the access or to deny based on the security assessments. So next topic, we're going to discuss about the physical security, because most of the time when we say information security, people will be discussing about the logical security. People can correlate the logical security very easily. So probably getting an access to the backend database after providing the user ID and password, they can able to understand. Physical security, like it's a practice of restricting entrance to a property. You can say restricting to a building or a premises or even to a server room where some of the critical network devices have been installed. So basically, the physical access control can be implemented by having a human kind of a guard, a bouncer, or even having a receptionist. And the common ways how they can protect the premises will be a lock and key. And whoever is having access to the keys, they only will be having the access to unlock it, and they can have a physical access. And some other way we can even think about the man trap also. So probably implementing security by environmental design. So probably only one person can enter at that particular time. It's a kind of a man trap, so that the one person can able to access, then the other person will be outside the particular cage or the room, and once the access is clear for the earlier person, the next person can go into their turn. It is like a kind of a man trap. So another way, like what they do, like a kind of a physical key management. It is like about managing and monitoring the access to particular mechanical keys, because even there are some vulnerabilities in that. Mechanical keys, it can be duplicated, it can be compromised, and anyone who is having access to the mechanical keys, they can able to get access to the sensitive areas or to the particular premises. And another concern here, like physical access control cannot certify like who, where, when, because like it may not have the kind of a uh, logs to confirm, unless until you have some physical logs that needs to be entered, or you need to have additional kind of control, like it could be a CCTV camera which can record, uh, the movement of people in that particular area, so that it can help you to identify them. But physical access control itself cannot give you the set of records, who accessed what, and what they performed on that particular resource. Like some of the shortfall in the when we are using the lock and key. And another vulnerability is when the door is locked, someone with a key can enter the door, right? So they can able to misuse it. So mechanical locks does not provide the full security, and also it cannot provide the restriction of the key holder, specific times or dates. Whoever is having the keys, they can able to unlock it irrespective of the date, irrespective of the time, right? There is no restrictions for that. But however, in the digital, what we can do, like we can place such kind of restrictions. And also mechanical locks and keys do not provide records of the key used, for example on a specific gate or a door, like how many times the particular key is used to unlock, and what is the date and timestamp when the lock has been opened. So there will be a lot of no information will be available by system itself. You can have a human security guard who can note down this information, and you can have it in the kind of a secondary control. But the point here is the control itself cannot provide you that kind of an information here. And another vulnerability, keys can be easily copied, or it can even stolen. It can be transferred to any unauthorized person, and they'll be able to misuse that one. And when a mechanical key is lost, the only way is like to you need to rekey. That you need to think about rekey mechanism for the lock, so that you can have the reasonable amount of security. So then comes the electronic access control. So basically, this is to solve some of the limitations of your mechanical locks and keys, like we just discussed about some of the characteristics as well as the challenges, the mechanical locks and keys. And the electronic access control, the access can be granted based on the credentials that has been passed. So probably it can also have the a transaction of record when that particular user, or when that particular access card that has been used to enter the premises, when it was again used to leave the premises, you'll be having the date and time to know about the physical access. And also, when the access is refused, the door remains locked. And also, the attempted access is also recorded. In terms of mechanical keys, if someone is using a different key, probably he or she cannot succeed in unlocking it, right? But there will be no traces. But here, If someone is making an attempt to open the door, but the door doesn't open because of it is not matching the credentials, then also that attempted access is also getting recorded in the system, which is an additional advantage. And the system will also monitor the door and the alarm if the door is forced open. If someone is trying to open the door with a, I can say, with a physical force without having the proper privilege, then there will be an alarm, right? Or there will be another case like when the door is open for a too long time. For example, someone is using the access card and the door is opened, right? So there will be some time frame for that. How long the door can be open? Then it has to be locked again. And intentionally, if the door is kept open for a longer time, in order to prevent the lock of the door, also will trigger that the door is open for such a long time and there is a suspicious activities. So like that, these things you can place it in the electronic access control system, which is not available in your physical access control. So what are the various security risks? So we are discussing about the physical security in a premises. What can go wrong? Piggybacking, tailgating. So this refers to when a person tags along with another person. The another person is the authorized person. This is to enter into a restricted area, right? Or just to pass a certain checkpoint. If there is a checkpoint where the security guards are verifying, it may be physical or it may be electronic also. It doesn't matter. There is a security check in order to bypass. Someone will be just following the another legitimate person so that they can get a company with them and they can able to pass that particular security. The act may be legal or illegal, authorized or unauthorized, doesn't matter, but depending upon the circumstances. Sometimes a person may be an authorized person, but the action what they're performing will be unethical practice. I will give some examples for that in the next slide. An authorized person may involve in an unlawful or unethical practice, right? So here, the most common security risk is about the intrusion, because a person is just simply following a legitimate user to the door, and this is referred as a tailgating. One of the legitimate user will be holding the door for the intruder knowingly or unknowingly, and sometimes they'll be getting into the restricted premises. So this risk can be minimized through security awareness training. If you're not sure about the person who is following you, if the person do not have the valid badge, even visitor will be having a badge, right? In most of the corporate premises, not only the employees will be having the ID card or the badge, even the visitors, the guests also will be provided some kind of an identity so that in case if there is any doubt, then the employee can raise a query, right? It's about the security awareness training. And also like you can install the turnstiles. Turnstiles will allow it is displayed in the slide here. Turnstiles. At one point of time, only one person can enter. One legitimate person can enter, and commonly you will be finding even this in the metro train stations, where you will be finding this kind of a turnstiles, and many corporates also they implemented this, making sure that if one person is swiping their access card, then it will allow only one turnstile, so that only one person only physically, ethically should get in or get out. So this is a kind of requirement. And some of the high security applications will be used by Sally Port. Sometimes they'll be using a man trap. Man trap literally like only one person, and this will be a transparent also. I can show you how that will. Yeah, this is a man trap. It'll be clearly visible how many people are there in that, and there are many other components also. There'll be weight sensors. There'll be weight sensor. It can detect the weight also, like the mass that is currently placed within that man trap. Also, this is by ergonomic, by design itself, it will be transparent. Anyone who is able to view them from anywhere in the premises, either one person is entering or more than one person is entering, because it will be a highly restricted area, like to avoid tailgating, to avoid the piggybacking, because just like that, people cannot follow the legitimate user, and each and every user should use their own credentials, their own access control system to register their presence. Right, when they are coming into the premises, they have to register. When they are going out, they have to unregister themselves. This is one of the best practice that needs to be followed in the physical security. One swipes and two enter. This is a very common kind of security breach. So this is happening everywhere. Do we have anyone experienced this in our team here? We have around 53 people here. Anyone can, any one or two who experienced this, the piggybacking, or who practiced this?
Actually, we get a tailgating, sir.
Exactly.
Something like that. We know that type tailgating
Yes.
breach like that.
Yes, exactly, Mr. Vivekanandan. Like what we also practice in the corporate environment, because let me be very honest to you all. Like during the tea breaks in corporate offices, what we do, like when we are going for a break, everything counts, because in our organization, the attendance, the floor attendance is about 9 hours. 9 hours we have to be presented in the office premises, and the first swipe in and last swipe of the day will be counted for your attendance, and also the in between, how many breaks you are taking, that will be deducted from your day attendance. So that is how the system has been built. So when we go for a tea break, what we do, we go as a group. Maybe three or four will be joining a group and will be going for a tea break. The first person will be swiping, and the remaining two or three will we just follow. Second break, the second person will be swiping, the another three will be following. Third break, that third person will be swiping, then the other three will be following. This is to making sure that we take three breaks in a day, but only one break will be recorded in the system. So this is just to adjust the attendance time requirement in the corporate office. And very commonly we do this. It's a kind of a tailgating, and this is a serious, I can say, a security breach and unethical practice. We should not practice this, but knowingly or unknowingly, many people are even following in some of the corporates to fulfill their attendance requirements. The day attendance, 8 hours or 9 hours to be on the floor, right? That will be keep counting. The system will keep counting your electronic access control system for a particular user, right? So honestly, we should not follow this, and this called as a tailgating. And it is a interchangeable word, piggybacking as well as the tailgating. Both are same. Both are same. No change in that. Probably the terminology that will be used by the author, only that varies. Anyone wanted to give any comments or here any one of the common thing what we do is tailgating.
Yeah, a very serious action is being taken by the company if they follow this. It is
Yes,
happening in every company. Yes, you're right.
yes, Mr. Muhammad Farooq. Actually, this happened in our organization also. Let me recall. It happened in, I believe, in 2011. It happened in 2011. At the time, I was working in an IT organization, and it was in OMR. So at the time, we were in the ninth floor, and there was a earthquake. Earthquake happened at the time. So what happened? Like literally, we were just rushing from the floor to the command center, where we need to provide an update about the headcounts. Right, people from the emergency response team, the ERT members, they are running here and there, because it is a earthquake happened in 2011, And surprisingly, what happened was there are missing employees when they really counted their heads, right? And they are searching in the floor, and they are searching in the pantries, they are searching in the washrooms, and they couldn't find a few employees. And after a while, they are coming from their breaks from the nearest tea shops or from hotels, and then the management took it very serious action against them. Actually, what they did, like when they are leaving the premises, they haven't swiped their access card, and the head count was taken from the access control database from the management. They took that data, and it was a huge mismatch. Nearly 30 to 35 employees, they are practicing this tailgating at that point of time. And as you mentioned, Mr. Mohammed Farouk, now organizations, they're taking this is very seriously, because during emergencies they do not have any real information, like, so how many employees they are really present in the premises, and where they're really going out of the premises. Like it will be a confusion state during the emergencies, as well as it is one of the corporate ethics also. They need to follow it.
Actually, like to share one of the important things here. When
Yeah,
security awareness training, especially precisely on the social engineering part. So usually phishing, how to handle phishing emails and some of the things. While that session, most of the things they will talk about is something educating staff on tailgating. So how the training, something physical access, what you need to behold or something like that. So this is what we came to.
very good, sir. Very good, sir. Kind of awareness is the first step, because the employee should have a proper awareness. Because being a new member to the corporate world, or maybe a new employee, may or may not have the proper awareness. So spreading the awareness through the social engineering techniques, and also they need to know this is a physical security is one of the real concern. So if someone is getting access to your floor, someone is getting access to the premises, it is a real security threat. And probably, like, it has to be provided them in well in advance, like security training programs, even in the induction program itself, or if there is an ongoing information security training for the employees at least once in a year. So they need to refresh them, so that they'll be staying with the concept. And really we need to raise the awareness with them, so that we can minimize this physical security attacks.
Yeah, it is.
And
It is each one's responsible to raise a voice when someone is doing this, or somewhere it is happening. So
exactly, Mr. Farooq. It's like you need to ask queries. If someone is just wandering on your premises without having valid, I can say, the
access
employee
card.
ID, access card, employee ID, or the visitor pass, so you can raise queries like, what is the purpose of visiting, and you can ask them how they came into your floor. Also, you can ask them. And if you ask more queries, or you can make them to drop at the security desk nearest to security desk, we can make them to get dropped, so that they will take care of it from the security desk. They will make sure to follow the process, because sometimes even it could be a visitor may not know the process. Probably he or she might be slipping into your floor. And this happens very commonly when you're in a I can say, multi corporates building. Like in the same premise, you will be finding more offices will be more organizations will be there, spread out. So probably your office may be in one or two floors, but the visitor, they can go to different floors, and from the lift or from the elevators they can drop into your floor, and they can just wander here and there. They can collect some information. So, as you rightly mentioned, Mr. Farooq, we can ask queries, we can ask questions to them, and probably we can take them to the nearest security desk. So, probably it's a responsibility of each and every employee in the organization, so that we can avoid this any kind of breaches. Thank you, Mr. Vivekanandan and Mohammed Farooq. And this is one of the environmental design. We can make sure that nobody can misuse this functionality. there'll be sensors, a lot of sensors, and you'll be having the CCTV cameras. Sometimes they'll be placing the man guards also, who can provide some instructions to them so that nobody can misuse. And piggybacking came to the public's attention, particularly in 1999. Actually, they conducted this as a kind of an, I can say, a kind of a project or kind of an experiment. So it's a kind of a study. It is kind of a study about the airport security, because when you say physical security, we call airport as one of the highest kind of physical security is being provided. You'll be finding many layers of security, and it will be hard for a person to get clear all these layers. But unfortunately, the result of the study shows that many persons can able to board into the planes also without tickets, and also they are able to bring many banned items on the planes also. They can able to bypass all the security checks, the physical security checks, and they were able to even board into the planes without the tickets also. So that is the level of physical security that was in that particular airport where the study was conducted, and this was conducted in 1999. And there are many various methods how they are practicing this breaching security. And some of them are listed here. Surreptitiously following an individual unauthorized. This is either to enter a location, like they're like legitimately escorted. Someone will be walking around, and the another person will be simply accompanying them, like without knowing them. Just like if someone is noticing them, they'll be thinking that both are colleagues or both are known, or maybe they're visitors or their client, maybe like that. Or joining a large crowd, unauthorized to enter. Just pretend you're a member of the crowd. Just like that, they'll be using their smartphones, or they'll be using the other things. Like they'll be just walking around in the joining a large crowd, then finding an authorized person, so probably who either disregards the law, like it's a kind of a tricking, a kind of tricky, like there'll be even some person will be very polite to open the door for others also. Unknowingly, they are the intruders. So they'll politely allow them to get into the queue and making them like so. So kind of one simpler forms of social engineering, getting into that particular place and gathering the information. Also, sometimes even they'll be overhearing the conversations. So these piggybacking people, what they do, like they'll be presented over there, at least to hear some of the sensitive information that has been exchanged by the other employees. Also, they'll be simply noting down. They'll be simply recording their conversations. They'll be even taking a kind of visual snapshot of the premises and also the other information. Piggybacking, tailgating. So crime prevention through environmental design. So many organizations, they are having a kind of a transparent door or a window, or they'll be placing the secondary controls. They'll be having the CCTV cameras or the security man guards, so that they'll be placing some kind of deterrent control over there. So next we are going to discuss about the wireless technologies. So when you say wireless technologies, like it will help you to connect one or more devices without actually being connected by the electrical conductor. So usually this will be connected through the radio waves, and radio waves, like sometimes the distances can be kept very short. For example, only few meters in terms of Bluetooth, and even this can be part of millions of kilometers also, like can be used for radio communications, deep space radio communications out there. And you'll be having a lot of fixed and mobile and portable applications, right? You'll be having the one-way system or two-way systems, including your cellular telephones, many PDAs that may be used for business applications, as well as the wireless networking. You'll be finding the use of wireless technologies almost in many places. So one of the examples, simple example, like you'll be having a lot of GPS units, even the garage door openers, it'll be like sending some communication, and wireless computer mouse. And nowadays, people are using the wireless keyboards, wireless mouse, even the wireless headsets. So the data that will be transmitted using the wireless technologies help you to receive the data, help to send the data, and to receive it like satellite television, broadcast, and cordless phones, where you'll be finding the usage of the wireless technologies, electromagnetic wireless technologies, even light, even electrical fields, or even the magnetic or wave sources that can be used for the various as kind of a media for the wireless technologies. So when you see the history of it, it was beginning at the 1890s, first transmitting and receiving technologies, wireless telegraph, and then the terminology has been changed into radio by 1920. And this will be distinguishing between the how the data that is being communicated with wires and without wires. With the advent of the new technologies, mobile broadband, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, maybe in the 2000s and late 2000s, you find the usage will be very gone very high. The users they were very much comfortable by using the wireless devices. Earlier, most of the devices will be connected with a physical connectivity, and now because of the ease of the use and also the availability of the various wireless technologies, now people are been using this technology. In some places, like it will be very impossible for implementing with a wired, so that they'll be using the wireless. For example, the telecommunications, right? We are using the cell phones, mobile phones, smartphones. So imagine if it needs to be communicated only through the wired medium, then it will be a challenge because people who are hanging in the fixed instruments only were able to communicate, like our landline telephone instruments. So once upon a time, like people were hanging around in the landline communications where the physical presence is needed, where the instrument is placed to have the communication. So once we have the wireless technologies where we can able to make use of the mobile phones and the smartphones, then we'll be able to kind of there's a shift. There's a shift of the usage of these devices, so that the users can freely roam around within the particular geographical zone where they can able to receive and to make calls. Information is transferred in this manner, like over the short distances as well as the long distances, based on the different technology that is being used. So now we're going to discuss about the testing for the wireless LAN. So what needs to be tested? There are many forms of testing. First comes signal coverage, because the client devices which is trying to get connected to the network should satisfy the coverage requirements. For this, like there will be a site survey that will be done first, because they need to know about the actual uh, the design of the particular site, and based on that, they will be placing the access points so that it will boost the signal, so that the devices can get the signals, and so that they can be connected to those access points, so that the devices will be available on the wireless LAN. So wireless LAN site survey, this needs to be done. That will help them to install the access points. So signal coverage test, so that the devices which is being in that particular premises, it will be getting the signals. Then performance testing. So this is like for specific corporate applications, how this is going to behave on the wireless LAN, because certain corporate applications may expect kind of the network bandwidth, so that will be occupying a lot of network traffic. So probably that will be one of the corporate requirements when they wanted to test a particular corporate application. For example, it may be in their Outlook or any other corporate used applications very frequently. So they'll be checking the performance of that application when they're especially when they're connected in the wireless LAN. Then associations are like how the devices is getting associated into that particular access points. Probably the initial test to see whether the client devices whether it can able to establish a wireless connection. And sometimes like the device will get associated to the network, then later it will be dropped. Then again you need to manually try to get association. Then again it may last only for few seconds, and again it will get dropped. But for some reasons, so they need to troubleshoot it and making sure that the devices are getting associated with that the corporate wireless network. And if there are some technical difficulties, then it has to be resolved before getting into the kind of real-time implementation. Then confirm sufficient associations before moving on to other testing. So first they will be covering these three tests. And also the system should be completely compatible with the access points. So there will be standard requirements. Based on that, they need to have these stable associations. And this is what we discussed. The client devices, initially it may get connected to the network, and then again you'll be finding it will be disassociated. It will be removed from the network. So probably again we need to initiate for a connection. Again, that will be like you may not have these stable connections, and that needs to be tested. And also you need to have an indicator that confirms the associations have been made. For example, some kind of an icon or some kind of a message that will be displayed to the user, so that the user will be having a kind of a confirmation that they are associated with that particular network. And there are other steps that given by the author. If the device is not getting associated with a particular access point, what needs to be checked? They need to recheck the phone configuration, especially the service set identifier SSID. They need to, there cannot be any spelling mistakes on that. And then how about the authentication type and the associated credentials? And probably they'll be trying to get a successful in their association. And then once the device is associated, then they'll be checking the signal status, whether about the signal coverage. Sometimes the device will get associated with the network, but the signal will be very, very poor. They may not get the signal strength. It will be very poor, so that it may take a long time for loading an application. Sometimes it may fail due to timeout. Some of the resources may not get accessed. So they'll be trying to observe what is the signal status. And also they'll be performing the association tests, and they will try to monitor the connection for at least 10 minutes time. This is what we discussed. Sometimes the device may get associated initially and it may get dropped for some various reasons. So here the author is recommending for minimum at least 10 minutes we need to check about the connectivity as well as the signal status of the associated device. In some cases, the device may initially associate with an access point without any issues, but it might inadvertently disassociate after a few minutes. This is what we discussed. It's one of the real-time issue, and it needs to be fixed. And they need to check about the other compatibility. Sometimes the firmware needs to be upgraded. Sometimes the firmware that needs to be upgraded to fix this particular issue. Probably a client device, radios, access points. So sometimes it may be both. Then they will be trying to test this functionality. So we'll do one thing. We are in the middle half of the session. So we'll be taking a tea break for 15 minutes from now. Then I'll be continuing the session. I'll be on mute for another 15 minutes, and we'll be discussing the remaining topics for the day. So till then, I'll be on mute. Kindly note. Welcome all after a short tea break. So before the break, we are discussing about the basics of network access control concepts, the goals, as well as the technology. Then we discussed about the physical security, and finally we are discussing about the various tests, especially the network access control tests, the wireless LAN tests, and we'll continue the slide. So the point of discussion was like sometimes the endpoints will be getting associated with the wireless network, and it may get disassociate after a few minutes. So we need to check, we need to troubleshoot, and sometimes firmware that needs to be upgraded in device client device radios, or it may be on the firmware or access points, or sometimes on the both. Then after fixing those like upgrades, then probably the association test will get a successful results. This is about the registration tests. So this is after confirming that the client devices associate effectively. The next step is to make sure that whether the device is getting registered successfully within the network. Because once after the device is getting registered in the network, only they can able to access the applications, and that will be the test, the registration tests. The network connection tests, like how the client devices are getting access to the various applications. And sometimes because the services will be kind of TCP or the UDP kind of connections, so they'll be trying to test the kind of network connection tests, and whether the device is getting the valid IP address. And some of the other tests, like you'll be trying to ping from the same subnet, from the external subnet, as well as like there are different type of tests. This is like first you're trying to ping from the same subnet, and probably it should respond with the acceptable delays. And also going to check what is the valid IP address that is getting for this particular device. Then about the authentication tests, once the device is getting registered on the network, then they'll be trying to get authenticated. Then probably they'll be looking into the authentication logs on the server. So this is to verify which device is getting authenticated to the service. Then this is about the application connection tests, how the phone that registers with the software and how it is able to make use of the applications. And if there is any issues, then they'll be trying to perform a kind of a troubleshooting, whether they'll be checking the IP address, the subnet mask, the primary gateway settings, the DNS settings, and they'll be trying to test the application connectivity tests. Then in motion testing, this is like whether this is for the roaming users. So in the premises, if the users are like in motion, so like probably there will be a silent handoffs between multiple access points, the same premises, and there should not be any like difference in accessing the applications from the user standpoint. So like in motion testing, this will be done in a large campus. They'll be performing this tests. And the next is about very specifically the security vulnerability testing. So whether the sufficient protection is there for unauthorized access, and whether anyone can able to perform the passive monitoring, whether they are able to gather the information from the network like that, they'll be trying to perform certain tests for the security vulnerability testing. Then penetration testing, a kind of a formal testing about which devices can connect to the private side of the network, and whether any vulnerable services are running, any vulnerable ports have been open, and whether there is any reasonable amount of protection from the public side of the network. Like a lot more um, objectives will be there for the penetration testing. Then private side of testing, they'll be trying to connect the unauthorized devices from the internal network. They'll be trying to the private side of the network. So probably they'll be looking into the other mechanisms like the authentication, the encryption, so that only the authorized client devices can successfully get connected to the network. If there are some rogue devices, which is not an authorized device, should not get connected to the network. Then they'll be trying to perform testing from the public side testing. Probably this could be the public hotspot, right? Where you may be finding some open connections will be there. Like so, they'll be trying to get associated with that network, and they'll be trying to test the device, how the device is getting connected to the public side of the network. In order to perform the tests, there are many port scanning tools are available. For example, SuperScan, one of the tool, or Retina. So this is to find the open ports, the open, basically the open TCP ports, open UDP ports, where you may able to drill down into specific security vulnerabilities. For example, some of the protocols that has been used, some of the services that has been used may be vulnerable. So this will help you to identify any kind of vulnerable or any kind of weakness in the network. SuperScan runs on Windows laptop and scans all the ports by the wireless network, and you'll be able to find the port number 80. So probably you'll be knowing that the HTTP service is running. And a little background about the SuperScan tool. Like the SuperScan, I believe this was used 2 days before, 2 decades before. I can say like in the year 2000 and 2001, 2002. Like we were very actively using the scanning tool SuperScan. So at that time, this particular tool was developed by an organization called Foundstone. Foundstone was the vendor who developed the SuperScan, and it was one of the preferred port scanning tool. I can say it is comparable with Nmap. So people who are in the industry for more than 2 decades, they'll be knowing about this Nmap, the command line tool. So at that time, we were using the SuperScan, and this tool was developed by Foundstone. And after a few years, the Foundstone company was acquired by McAfee. So McAfee, they acquired Foundstone, and even now they are still running the tool in the name of SuperScan, and there was no update provided to the tool. So typically the tool which was used in 2000 and 2001, the same tool we are using now also, SuperScan, and now the people behind the tool is McAfee, one of the known name in the security software, security vendor, I can say solution provider. And SuperScan, you'll be able to identify the open ports, you'll be able to identify the running services, you'll be able to identify the operating system that is running, and also you can perform a lot of enumeration tests also. Using the SuperScan tool, you can able to perform a lot of scanning, and you'll be able to gather the information about your targeted network as well as the targeted hosts. And some more scenarios given here. So scanning the tests within the same subnet. So this scenario given, like for example, the hacker is connected into the network from the same area as a targeted user. For example, both are from the same coffee shop. Both are there in the same subnet. So probably they'll be trying to initiate a scan. They'll be trying to identify the services running, the ports open. So here both the test computer and the scanning computer, both are in the same subnet. So this is one type of scenario. Other type of scenario, scan the test computer from a different subnet. You're not scanning from the same subnet. You're doing from this different subnet. Another scenario where you can perform the test, and you can able to get the results. Then scan the test laptop located in a private subnet, but from a public subnet. This is also another type of a scenario where a hacker is trying to compromise the security of users connected to the protected side of the network. They are into the private subnet, but the hacker is trying to scan from the public subnet. Again, a lot of port scanning tools are available to perform this activity. They can use Nmap or Zenmap. They can use SuperScan. They can use Retina. They can use even Angry IP scanner. So there are many port scanners available, which will help them to know about the open ports, and thereby they will be able to identify the services, and not only the services, but also the version of services running. For example, port number 80 is open. It means that a HTTP service is running. And what is the version of HTTP is running? Is it 1.1, 1.2, like that? And also, like, they'll be trying to identify the operating system that is running on the targeted hosts. In addition to the scanning particular test computer, also they'll be performing scanning to identify all the devices that is connected on the network. For example, the APs, the access points, the various network controllers, the switches, the various application services or application servers that are available on the particular network. And also they'll be trying to identify the other devices also. For example, it may be a network printer, and they'll be trying to map the various devices on the targeted network. Then acceptance testing or verification testing. So this is like after installing the wireless LAN. So it's very important to run a series of acceptance tests. This is from the user community. So this is making sure that the registration test, the association test, the signal testing, so that it is working as per the design and there is no impact for the business users, because it should satisfy all the user business requirements. So they'll be performing the acceptance testing. So this will help them to determine whether the system is fully operational prior to the given operational status. In reality, like, you will be finding the kind of pilot test that will happen for few devices or few users on the new setup environment, and based on the result of the pilot users, then they'll be going for the full-fledged implementation, because this will help them to avoid any kind of potential issues with the usage and support once all the users are brought into the corporate network. And also from the potential legal purposes, this will help them to provide a kind of a technical advice or evidence, like it is meeting the contractual requirements. A test will help them to know whether it meets the contract requirements. It's a kind of assurance the service providers that there will be no interruption to their business, and they can use the network, and they can able to get service for all the business applications and the services. Simulation testing. This is like sometimes it will be very beneficial to simulate the kind of a behavior of a wireless LAN before actually installing it. Actually, you're not buying any real hardware. So you're not buying real hardware, and what you're doing, like, you're trying to use a simulation software, and you are able to place the devices, and you're able to in the kind of simulation software, and you are able to study the behavior, as well as perform a lot of tests, so that you'll be able to identify whether the design is it is whether it will satisfy the business requirement, or whether there is any redesign is required, or any sometimes additional access points that needs to be installed on various places to provide the network connectivity to all the devices. So the main attributes when we go for simulation testing, especially to verify the various technologies, the results are only as accurate as a model. because it depends upon the model. So what model you are going to use in the simulation, and sometimes like you need to estimate the traffic flows and utilization, because you may not find the real traffic, because it's a simulation. It's a simulation testing tool. So you have to artificially you have to generate the traffic, and you have to make use of the tool so that you can estimate the real traffic, the peak hours, and also the utilization of the system. And after building the initial model, you can easily make changes and rerun the test. In simulation test, the another major advantage, like for example, initially you may place 10 devices. Then later you can add 5 more devices. Then later you can have 5 more devices. Then you can rerun the test. Because actually we are not installing the new hardware. We are just making a provision in the simulation software, and just you are placing a device. So just like we are using the sys packet tracer, right? One of the network simulation tool where you can make use of the packet tracer application to place the network devices, and you can able to observe. You can able to observe the traffic and how it behaves in the network. Like that, in the simulation uh, testing pattern, what you can do, like you can easily make changes to your network design. Again, always you can rerun the tests. And simulation does not require the access to the network hardware and software, because we have all the tests we are going to perform using the simulation tool. So you are not going to purchase the real hardware software, and it doesn't require much geographical space, because only the space what you require is the hardware that is running the simulation software, because the tests we are going to perform only with the simulation software. And in reality, the simulation software is very, very expensive. And if the organization is deciding to buy the software for only one-time implementation, then it will be very, very costly. And the practice here is for simulation testing, we'll be getting the help from our contractors, from our consultants. What they do, like they will be helping to complete this simulation testing, because they will be owning the simulation software, and they can use this for many clients. So based on our requirements, probably they'll be helping us to complete the testing. Then they'll be using the same software for their other clients. So for one-time requirement, buying the software is not a advisable one, because this simulation software is very expensive. And this is not economically feasible when they are going for one-time design, because some organizations probably they'll be going for only one-time design, and probably for the next occasion they may do it after 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or so, or sometimes they may not go for the next requirement. So probably a one-time requirement, it is wise to get the service done by the contractors. The people working with the simulation tool will probably need training, because they need to know how to make use of the tool. So going with the contractors, they know how to make use of the simulation tool, and also they will be in a position to provide the I can say the technical service, like where the devices that needs to be placed and what model that device that needs to be placed, and based on the requirements, they'll be helping the organization to complete this simulation testing. Second type of testing is called the prototype testing. The first type of testing that recommended is simulation, because a geographical phase is not required, and no need to buy the actual hardware or the software. Only thing we need to get the help from the simulation software. Second type of testing, prototype. You have to buy the hardware, you have to buy the software. Actually, you're going to implement and you're going to test the various functionality, and you're going to observe the results. So that type of concept is called the prototype. The results will be real results. It will result accurate results, because we are using the actual software, we are using the actual hardware. Sometimes the results from the simulation software may not be the real one. Sometimes it may mismatch with the real scenario, because it is not the real. Everything is done by the simulation software. But here, Since we are using the real hardware, real software, we will be getting the accurate results, especially when you are using the utilization loads. It can provide you the results. And relatively inexpensive is a part of system installation because you can obtain the components under evaluation from vendors. Like sometimes there are many vendors available. When we go for prototype testing, you may rent, you may hire these devices for I can say for a short period, and you can complete your test. No need to buy the hardware and software. What you can do, you can buy as a package, and only for completing your test, you can perform this activity. You can ask from your vendors also for evaluation. Some vendors they'll be even providing the hardware and software for evaluation, and hoping that after the testing they'll be purchasing the original hardware and software for the entire unit. So probably they'll be providing this as an evaluation for testing purpose, and takes time to reconfigure the prototype because you reflect the changes in requirements. Because in terms of simulation testing, it may not take much time. Any kind of redesigning, it can happen in the on the fly, and you can run the retest immediately. But here in the prototype, you have to wait for certain time to get the reflection of the changes. Like you have to reconfigure the prototype, and that will be the time. There is a factor that is needed here for to reflect any changes, and you need the access, the required access to the network components. And sometimes it will be a problem if you do not have access to the vendors. And in simulation testing, there is no such requirement. No need to have access to the devices or the components because you are running on a simulation software. But here, you need to have access to the network components, and requires space to lay out the hardware and perform the testing. And another requirement in prototype testing, you need the I can say the real estate space or lay out your hardware and to perform the testing. And third type of testing, pilot testing. Pilot testing, like they'll be performing only for a small number of, I can say for sample testing or for pilot using. They'll be picking few devices, or they'll be picking few users. Depends upon the requirements. So before installing the wireless LAN across the entire organization, so what they do, like they'll be installing on a limited number of facilities, ideally one, or it may be more than one. So this is like to identify any kind of an issues or problems, and we'll be trying to troubleshoot it, and they need to fix it, and then actually they'll be going for the full-fledged implementation. And problems will likely have been solved during the pilot testing. They'll be trying to identify the compatibility testing. Sometimes it may be a compatibility, or it may be a performance issues, or could be any other issue that can be observed during the pilot testing for few users or few devices, and they'll be trying to resolve for the full-fledged implementation. So the main attributes of the pilot testing, like, yields the most accurate results because you'll be using the hardware, the software, and also the realistic conditions, and involves the purchase of applicable hardware and software. Even in prototype also, you can get an evaluation, right? Or you can hire, but here you need to purchase. There will be a purchase cost for hardware, purchase cost for software, and if there is any training that is required also, that will be added to the cost for pilot testing. And this depends upon the firm requirements and whether they require a live facility to install and use the systems. Yes, so pilot testing, but the results will be more real results because they'll be using the real hardware, the software, the realistic conditions, and the real business users going to test in their environment, the pilot testing. Only thing they may not do for all the systems. Only few devices or only few users will be chosen for the pilot, and based on the pilot results, they'll be going for the full-fledged implementation. This is the type of pilot testing, the main attributes of pilot testing. Then test report. It may be a simulation test, or it could be a prototype test, or it could be simulation. What needs to be what roles they're going to play. Like now, we're going to discuss about the components of the test report. So, what should be available in the test report? Background, testing team. So, this is to identify all the people who are involved in the testing as well as their roles. Then requirements summary. Like from the business, you'll be getting what are the wireless LAN requirements, because that will be taken as a reference, because they'll be looking into the requirements documentation for more details, and they'll making sure that all the business requirements are being incorporated into the testing. Then they will be describing about how the test is going to be conducted. For example, what is the methodology they're going to follow, and what tools that is going to be used, and how the data is going to be collected, and what data that will be collected. So like that, they'll be providing the information, like describing how the testing going to be accomplished and what the tools that are used to collect the data. Then finally, the analysis and the results, including all the applicable test data will be there, and also they'll be putting into a kind of a format which will reflect the overall the test report, kind of a summary. They'll be providing that, explaining the results, underlying the issues that might be causing problems. Also, they'll be providing. For example, if there is any association test, it is getting failed, or the signal strength, it may be falling, then they'll be providing a solution for that. So probably placing in additional access points, they'll be specifying in which area the signal strength is getting dropped, and where they suggest to implement a new access point into the corporate design. Like that, they'll be trying to identify and also provide the information. The recommendations. So what changes they're going to make to the recommendation? This is to contract the issues. They'll be referring the test reports, and they'll be trying to make the changes to the network, so probably to fix the future problems. And they'll be completely documenting the entire test, the scenarios, as well as the results, the outcome, their recommendations. So do we have any doubts, any queries in network testing? Because the next topic we are going to discuss is software testing. Is a different topic. If we have any doubts, any queries in the previous topics, so probably we'll be spending some time. Then we'll be going to the software testing, the next topic. Okay, I will take
No
it.
questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Thank you. So the next topic we're going to discuss about a software testing. So this is a kind of a formal process. Like once the software is completely developed, and it is good to promote to the production environment, there will be a testing phase. So actually to test the functional requirements, the non-functional requirements, the behavior of the application program, making sure it is fit for a business purpose. Then only it has to be promoted to the production environment. So making sure the system that is being developed, the software, it is defect free. There are no bugs, there are no errors, so that it will support the business requirement. And testing, it's like it's a kind of an execution of a software component or system component, so you can say, to evaluate one or more properties of interest. That will be the basics for the software testing. So basically, to identify the errors, identify the gaps, or sometimes it will be to identify the missing requirements in contrary to the actual requirements. The testing team will be having access to the SRS document, the system specification requirements. So they'll be having that one, and they'll be measuring against the business requirements whether it has been completely available in the developed application software. And there are two ways the testing can be performed through automated way, and as well as this can be conducted through manual testing also. Like sometimes the organization will be looking into perform the manual testing, and certain cases they'll be looking into the automated testing. Both testing options are available, and also like the methodology. So what methodology they are going to follow? For example, software testing. The first preferred method is white box testing, and the second type will be called as black box testing, and third type we call that as a gray box testing. And we'll discuss in detail when we go to that particular. What is the difference between these different types of methodologies which is followed for the software testing? And software testing means verification of application, it is AUT, and they'll be verifying and validating the specific business requirements and the behavior of the system also. So before that, we'll just quickly go through what is the need for software testing, because the software is just completed in the development stage, and we are just passing to the production. So what can go wrong without a testing? If a software is been promoted, what can go wrong? And I believe most of you knowing about this blue screen of death. It just happened a couple of weeks before, and this happened in the Microsoft operated systems. Anyone notice that blue screen of death a couple of weeks before? Millions.
CrowdStrike. It's
Most
happened.
Exactly,
CrowdStrike.
exactly, Mr. Shiva. It happened in the CrowdStrike. I can say the security product where there was an update. The update was specifically for a Falcon sensor. The update for a Falcon sensor to detect the malicious traffic, and the sensor was updated or patched, and this was not tested directly. They applied it to the production environment, and after the restart and millions of Microsoft systems, they encountered this blue screen of death. And actually it is a update on the Falcon sensor on CrowdStrike, I can say the product. But however, the impact was not observed in Mac systems. The Mac systems was perfectly working fine, and the impact is only for Windows. And it took nearly 12 hours to 24 hours for the issue to be resolved. Many organizations, they suffered a lot. They were unable to run the business because the system is not in operational status, and without the operating system, they are unable to use the application. And many airports, many airports, many airlines, many airlines, what they did, like they were forced to give the handwritten boarding pass. And many people, they put it in their WhatsApp status also, because it could be one of the odd scenario for them to get a handwritten boarding pass.
Right.
And many flights have been cancelled because they are not sure who booked the flight. They are not sure about the status of that, and a few flights they cancelled for the day, and few airlines, what they did, like they will be running the show in a manual way. So it was affecting all the business, not only the airlines business. It was quite affecting all the sectors, but this was predominantly this was highlighted, and it took nearly 12 to 24 hours for to getting a recovery from that particular one. What happened was, actually it is a kind of update for a Falcon sensor in CrowdStrike product, and which was the impact. So even a software a glitch, or I can say a kind of an error or a bug, it can cause a potential impact for the users. Anyone wanted to give some more examples or, on the same context? Anyone wanted to give some examples from the real time or any information they already know about this?
Yeah, actually, in one of our environment, in our client environment, there are around 16,000 server was down.
Oh, my goodness.
16,000 server was down. Entirely 1,000 plus people we were worked around the global, like India, USA, North America, German, UK, wherever, like 1,000 plus employees we were worked around 18 hours and bring up all the servers of 16,000 servers.
Oh, my God, my God. I can able to know the efforts.
Entirely client was, it is one of the clients. I'm working for the client. The entirely the work was shut down. They mainly operates from the Germany.
Okay.
Even on that day, German airports were shut down on that day.
Oh,
We were
oh my God.
keep on touch with the client manager from Germany. We round the clock we were working around 18 hours. We worked and 6,000 plus people. In the end of the every 8 hours, every 2 hours, end of the shift, we will be updating, keep on updating, each and every employee. And finally, after 18 hours, we bring up the 16,000 servers in our environment.
Oh my God. I
Drastically
can able to
down.
visualize. Yeah, I can able to visualize like 1,000 people were working. This happened on 1,600 servers.
Yes, 16,000.
16,000. Okay.
16,000.
16,000 servers and for 18 hours to fix this.
Yes. Okay, in this, we have around SAP environment and some
Okay,
mathematical
okay.
application environment.
SAP is one of the critical for most of the
Yes.
business. SAP
Yes.
environment.
Many CRM application, even
Okay.
our company ticketing systems, the Snow environment,
Yes.
service now.
Yeah. Service
We,
now.
we have affected, even client can't generate the raise the ticket. They
Okay.
can say that I'm literally down. How I can raise the ticket? How I can inform to the client, the people who are working for that. We informed all the clients saying that this is globally down. No need to raise any ticket because even ticketing system itself down.
Okay. Understood. Because any request, any incident, it will be raised to the centralized ticketing system.
Yeah, they can't raise anything. Entirely down. So it was
Okay.
I was facing this kind of issue around 2017 in the ransomware attack.
Okay.
I was worked with
Okay.
this kind of situation in ransomware attack 2017. After that, this was the major outage in my lifetime in the working in IT environment. I am facing only these two environments. These two.
Okay. These two are very, very big.
Yes.
I can
Large
say
down.
incident.
You see,
Yeah.
I can say it's a large down globally.
Yes. 18 hours. 18 hours to fix it. 18 hours to
Yes.
fix it. Really. But you had very good experience in fixing the incidents.
Yeah, we got a very good appreciation from the client. Client given the bonus to who all participate on this activity because the good thing is the Falcon sensor you told the
Yes.
the
On
CloudStrike
CrowdStrike.
application, it is purely managed by client, not from
Yes.
our perspective. Because
Yeah.
we are the
Okay.
vendor who supports the operating system or virtual environment or cyber security, whoever, we are supporting company. Okay.
Okay.
For example, Wipro or Infosys, I could not
Yes.
disclose my company here.
Yes. Correct.
So I am the supporting company, but
Okay.
the CrowdStrike environment purely managed by client. So
Okay.
we are safe because if something we are managing, if it is down
Yes.
from our side, client will give penalty to us. We have to pay the penalty to client.
Yes.
Right.
It's unplanned downtime. Yeah.
Yeah, this is but this is the purely the client managed system. Like the CloudStrike is client billable and the client they are managing the environment. So we are safe.
Yes. Exactly.
So
Nowadays,
and
everything is given as a service.
yes, so we bring up the service, then client appreciated and client given the bonus to each and whoever are working on this environment to bring up, they given bonus to everyone. Like it's what's very good, like a very huge appreciation from the client, all the
Yeah.
people.
It's a hard work from your end.
Yes.
Okay. Great to know, Mr. Vivekanand. Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
hard work they appreciated it too, so that you brought the business back. You
Yes.
helped to bring the business back.
But the the other way, some people are some rumors are saying that might be some kind of Microsoft had some difference of opinion with the CrowdStrike vendor, because the Microsoft have their own cybersecurity tool. They want to bring up to the
Yeah,
teams.
Defender. Yeah, Defender. They have the Windows Defender.
Defender. So they want to bring up something. That's a very good tool. It is very good 100% uptime. So when they want to bring
Yes,
up something, some rumors will be going on, but
yes, yes,
the outage is outage only. But we have so many rumors are going on for that CrowdStrike.
yes. Even Microsoft is also having the SAM also. They have the Sentinel. They
Yes,
have
Sentinel.
the
Yes,
Sentinel. They have the protection for the SAEM tool. And some of the corporates they don't buy Sentinel. Like they'll be using CrowdStrike or they'll be using QRadar or they'll be using Splunk. On top of that, they'll be using Windows operating system. So like that, they'll be finding. So probably Microsoft also may pitch in into the SAEM solutions also to push their Defender for the anti-malware solution and for Sentinel for their SAEM solution.
yes.
Oh, this would be the right. One more,
Yeah, please go ahead,
we
Mr.
can.
Ravi. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right. So it's some kind of alert to the IT again, right? After COVID.
Yes,
So some of them
yes,
are say right work from home options, and also it's all of
yes,
a sudden there is outage. It's all reviewed, right? Those who are impacted
yes,
or unimpacted as well. So
yes,
they initially they are not aware actually precise what area has been impacted, right?
yes,
Their security, it's a company's policy, something got affected or some patches has been pushed.
yeah.
It
Exactly,
took some
exactly.
time to like realize or what
Yes,
happened. So as the news widespread, so they
yes,
aware it's a global issue. Initial for 1 or few hours they thought right their system has been compromised or something happened to their
yes,
own system, something like that, right? It's a very
yes. Exactly,
um, to the
exactly.
IT, right? Entire IT, it's a network or security or Windows team altogether.
Yes,
Right, they are figuring out what went wrong
exactly.
in the system. So it's
Exactly, Mr. Ravi. Even in my organization, like whoever had the impact, they were asked to come to the office by the next day and to work with the IT team to the desktop support team to fix the issue, and then only they can go back to their. Many people were in the hometown. They were
yeah,
forced to travel, and they fixed the issue. So only good thing here is like it is fixed in 12 to 18 hours.
correct.
So back to business, and nowadays people are having even the backup support also. Even if one of the location is unable to support business, you always have the backup team or the BCP team, because now the team is spread across multiple locations. Because earlier you will be finding the one team kind of arrangement for a particular service. Only one team will be responsible for it, and if there is any issue with the team or with the system, they'll be unable to support. But having the BCP and the other arrangement, now the cross product training, as well as people are spread on different locations. So probably, and also like this impact only for people who restarted the endpoint, and some people who after the patch also some systems
They
they
put
took
it
a
on
decision not
sleep
to
mode.
restart. Yeah, sleep.
They sleep mode or
Yeah,
hibernate. It's not
yes,
impacted. That
yes,
session
not
is
impacted.
maintained
Yeah,
through it.
They
Uh,
just resumed and they were able to run the business. But the moment you restart your device, then it went to blue screen of death.
Yeah.
so
Actually, once the patch is updated, it got restarted, sir. So
Oh,
it
okay,
automatically
okay.
went for restart.
It's a
It
push.
automatically went for
Oh,
restart. Yeah.
okay. Not a user initiated
No,
restart.
no.
Okay, it's based on the script. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's also happened. And moreover, right, this Microsoft or Cisco or Google, those
Yeah.
companies get impacted, right? That visibility created and awareness and right news and all, it's a huge
Yes.
actually. So
Yes. Yes.
one way or other, right? People also get more awareness. Okay, something
Yes,
right. We need to be cautious about. It's not nothing granted,
yes,
kind of thing,
exactly,
right? We
exactly.
can
That we,
run our show like that. So budget, lot
yeah,
of budget has been revised to see
yes,
how to prevent, and lot of governance meeting happen
yes,
subsequently to this one. So uh,
exactly. People thought about
so
the hot site, or they thought about the
yes,
redundant devices. If
correct.
one system is down, then how they can resume their business.
The kind of wake up call after
Yes,
some.
yes, exactly, exactly. Kind of a wake up call. You cannot trust the vendor by their name. Maybe a Microsoft, maybe a
Yeah,
Cisco, or maybe Intel. But organization is an organization. Incident is an incident.
yeah, yes, Ramesh.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ravi, Mr. Shiva, and Vivekanand for adding, and Mr. Farooq for adding more comments to the topic, so that the entire participants will be much benefited. Because I always have the session to be a kind of interactive session, so that I can buy many information from you all, because you're all from the same industry, and you'll be from your rich experience. You could have witnessed many more in-depth information, which is not there in the material, not there in the material. For that, I would like to thank all.
Sure. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And the next topic is like, what is the need for software testing? So, because testing we discussed is one of the significant or a critical process, because software bugs or errors sometimes it will be bringing financial loss to the organization. Sometimes it is even more dangerous, because even human loss also may happen if there is a software error. And there are some history of such examples are given listed here. In the year 2015 April, Bloomberg terminal in London crashed due to this software glitch. So because of that, what they did, like they have postponed a kind of debt sale for the government. Actually, they intended to have a £3 billion sale, and they postponed their activity. And the next activity, Nissan cars, they have recalled over 1 million cars from the market due to software failure. Actually, because of that software failure, the airbags was not actually working. There is a defect in the airbag sensory detectors, and incidentally, there were two accidents. And because of the software failure, the airbags was not properly working. So they had this two accidents. Then they reviewed the system. They understood there is a software error which needs to be fixed. So they recalled nearly 1 million cars from the market, and they fixed this particular issue. And even this incident is quoted in one of the Tamil film. I'm not sure how many of you saw that film. I think Rajini Murugan or some film. In that, the lead actor Shiva Karthikeyan, he was taking a test drive from one of the vehicle, and accidentally he just hit in a lamppost, and at the time the airbags was not opening, and he was just complaining to the sales person, like he informed that in case of any accident the airbags will open, but the airbags is not opening in this vehicle. It's a kind of a comedy scene, but they took information from here only, from the Nissan cars, which failed to open the airbags in terms of any kind of an incident, any kind of an accident. And next one, the Starbucks. They were forced to close about 60% of the stores in the US and Canada. This is due to software failure in their point of sale system, because their policy is, if they are unable to print a bill, they will serve at free of cost. So this made them to provide the coffee to all their customers who are standing in the queue, because they're unable to process the transaction. They're unable to make use of the point of sale device for billing purpose. So what they did, like they free of cost, they provided the coffee to all the customers. And another software glitch, it is like one of the product, the price has been reduced. This happened in the Amazon third party retailers. And another incident here, like in 2015, the fighter plane F-35 fell victim to a software bug, making it unable to detect the targets correctly. So imagine the scenario in a war scenario, in a fighter plane, and he's just firing the target and missing the target because of the software failure. And it could be a disastrous for them, and it happened due to a software bug, and they fixed that one. Actually, it is in a fighter plane F-35. Then China Airlines Airbus A300 crashed due to a software bug, and because of that, killing nearly 264 innocent life. So this happened in 1994, April 26, because of a software bug, it killing nearly 264 people. And in 1985, Canada, like 25 radiation therapy, three people dead because it malfunctioned. It malfunctioned due to a software bug, and lethal radiation doses were given to the patients. In 1999, software bug caused a failure of $1.2 billion. And like that, you will be finding a lot of issues. Like in 1996, a software bug caused the bank accounts of 823 customers were credited with more than 920 million US dollars by mistake due to a software error, software bug, and some customers they've been having their credits in their accounts. So there is a need. There is a need to go for software testing before releasing to the production, and these are the various reasons we just discussed about it. There is a need to go for software testing. So now we're going to discuss what are the various types of testing we have. Basically, there are three categories. One is functional testing. When I say functional, it's a business requirement. Business is expecting this function, this module, so they are going to test that. Second will be a non-functional testing. This is not a direct business requirement, but for certain reasons. For example, it could be the robustness of the system, the performance of the test of the system, the stability of the application, or like it will be a kind of fiduciary requirements. It could be a security requirements, legal requirements. It is not a direct functional requirement.
Look and feel of the application.
Yeah, look and feel of the application. Exactly, sir. Even it could be the look and feel of the application, not the business requirement. That also will be coming under the non-functional testing. And third one will be the maintenance, kind of a regression. Sometimes there will be an updated version, and because of the newly added codes, there should not be any impact to the previous modules. Kind of a regression and kind of a maintenance, kind of a testing. Maybe the application software is going for a version update or certain modules that may be newly added. So kind of a regression testing. So three categories here. The author is referring the software testing. So now we're going to discuss about the various methodologies. White box testing or full box testing, full knowledge. So here the testing team will be having the visibility of all the internal structure, the design, the coding, even the code in the software code will be visible to the tester. So primarily they will be verifying the flow of inputs. So whether they're getting the proper outputs and how the application is behaving and how to improve the design, the usability. So like that, clear box testing. Also, this is called as a transparent box or open box or structural box. Usually, this will be performed by the developers. They will have complete knowledge. There will be complete access to the application, to the software code, and they'll be performing this testing. And on the black box testing, the second type, it is like a kind of external, I can say, or the end user perspective, because they may not know, the internal as well as they may not have visibility of the software code. But only thing what they know is about if they provide this input, they'll be getting this output. That is a black box. That is the end user perspective. But when it comes to the white box, it's a kind of a see-through box concept. They'll be having the complete knowledge about the software, the application, and they'll be performing the testing. So what do we verify in white box testing? They'll be trying to identify any kind of a security vulnerabilities. Then they'll be trying to identify any poorly structured parts in the coding process. They'll be going through all the logical statements. They'll be going through all the syntax, and they'll be going through the structures, and they'll be trying to identify if there's any poorly structured parts, and flow of specific inputs through the software code, and expected output, and for the corresponding input, whether they're getting the expected output, and functionality tests or conditional loops, whether it has been clearly it is following the logical requirements, logical statements, and how it has been properly coded. The testing of each statement, testing of each objects, testing of each functions or modules or an individual basis. And white box testing, in reality, this will take a lot of time because given the visibility to them, they'll be trying to test all the functionalities. They'll be trying to test all the parameters. And if there is a sufficient um, time, if there is a sufficient resource, and if the organization wanted to go for a white box testing, again, this will be a time consuming one. And but there will be a thorough testing. They may not miss out any of the parameters. They'll be testing the entire available options. They'll be going for this white box testing. And one of the basic goal is to verify the working flow on application. So testing all the modules, all the logical statements. So that will give them a kind of an assurance that they verified the complete working flow of an application. And also it involves a testing a series of predefined inputs, and they'll be knowing what is a desired output for the specified input. And if they are encountering a different output, then there is a encountered bug, and they'll be trying to use a lot of test cases. Initially, the testing will be performed based on the pre-approved test cases or the use cases. And what they do, like they'll be providing a set of inputs, and they'll be observing what is the output as well as the flow of that particular application. And they'll be providing whether it is a successful or some of the functions are not working as per the design. So they'll be trying to get to know the quality of the application program that is being developed, which is under the testing. And how to perform the white box testing? There is a step-by-step procedures that is given here. First, they need to understand the source code. They need to go through the source code, and they need to have right knowledge in the programming languages, because they need to know about the secure coding practices also. Sometimes on the functionality perspective, it may work fine. But when you see from the security standard perspective, you'll be finding it is not a secure coding practice. They'll be trying to find the security issues, which so that they can prevent any kind of an attack from the hackers or from the external intruders. And they'll be creating test cases, and they'll be trying to execute one by one so that they'll be observing the results. They'll be developing the test cases for each and every process, series of process in the application. And one of the basic testing technique is called a code coverage analysis. So when you say code coverage analysis, they'll be literally going through the software code line by line, logic statement by statement. They'll be going through it, and they'll be trying to cover, so that in a you can say in a kind of a review that is going to happen on the software code, that will help them to identify any kind of errors or bugs. Once the gaps have been identified, then they'll be creating some test cases to verify the untested parts of the code. So basically, they are trying to improve the quality. They are trying to implement the quality of the application program, which is under testing. And also, there are automated tools also available, which will help them to perform the code coverage analysis, like statement coverage, branch coverage. There are few types of coverage analysis. The first one is statement coverage. So this type of testing will help them to cover all the possible statements in the code that will be tested at least once, and they'll be observing the results. And second is a branch coverage, because it will check for a specific conditional loop. For example, if else or like that, they'll be having a lot of conditional loops in within the software application. They'll be testing those branch coverage, and they'll be giving both the inputs. If what is the output, and else what should be the output. Like they'll be providing both the options, and they'll be testing it. Statement coverage, then branch coverage. Apart from that, there are many other coverage types like condition coverage, multiple condition coverage, path coverage, function coverage. So like that, they'll be trying to cover all the requirements, and each and every technique has its own merits, and they'll be trying to attempt to pass all the requirements. And statement and branch itself will be covering 80 to 90%. So most of the organizations, they go only for the first two, statement coverage and branch coverage. So they'll be completing their exercise. It will be completing nearly 80 to 90%. They can complete the test. Some of the tools that can be used to perform the white box testing: Veracode, ECLM, RC unit, CPP unit. So these are the various testing tools that is used to perform the white box testing tools. So do we have any software tester here in our team here who is attending the session? Anyone working in the soft? Okay, you can provide some information. Yeah. So how it is followed in the real time?
White box testing we don't do. We are functional black box testers. Sometimes gray box, not on the white box. So it is all information. I'm just wondering what you say about something on the static code analysis, but that is different, am I sir?
Yeah, that is different. Like static code analysis and the dynamic code analysis. Like static code analysis, like without executing the application, they'll be performing. And dynamic, they'll be allowing the application to get executed, and they'll be performing the analysis. It's a kind of an approach.
Statement coverage and then branch.
Yeah, statement coverage, basically they'll be doing in a static, not the dynamic.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Static code analysis is more of the security testing, right? So, sir.
Yes, for example, malware. For example, for a malware, they'll be going for the static. Exactly, sir. Exactly, and
not
static code.
Basically trying to exercise the static code and trying to identify the loopholes in the system.
Yes, basically. Exactly. And for malware, we do both static and dynamic. So basically, in a sandbox environment, to understand the behavior of the malware, so how it is getting spread and what are the various impact and which system is getting impact, like that, to know, you'll be performing the stat as well as the DAST testing on that. And here, application testing, software testing, like mostly will be going on the code coverage in the static only. Thank you, sir. Thank you for adding that. And this is the various types of white box testing. It starts with the unit testing, because the unit testing is a type of a first test, I can say, on the application. Because as and when the each unit is developed, what they do, like they'll be going for the test. And initially, this will be done by the programming team itself, because if they identify the bug at the early stage, then the cost of fixing it will be very less, because the bugs which is identified in this stage, one of the cheapest, I can say, one of the cheaper when you compare the bugs that is being identified in the later stage. So it is easy to fix by the programming team itself. So unit testing. And some of the other testing, like testing for memory leaks, this is like when the system is running very slow after quite some time, like you'll be finding, this will be for the quality test, I can say. The quality assurance specialist, like they'll be trying to identify any kind of memory leaks. Sometimes the application will be running slow over a period of time, the software application. and probably that could be one of the reason for that. Then advantages of the white box testing. It will help them to perform the optimization in software code. Since they have the visibility of the entire software code, they'll be doing the code coverage analysis, and they will help the organization to optimize the software code. This is to find the hidden errors. Sometimes the error may not be predominantly visible, but they'll be able to identify the hidden errors. And white box tests cases can be easily automated, another advantage when they go for white box testing. And testing also will cover mostly through all the code parts. And also the testing can happen very earlier part of the software development, even if the software development life cycle, even the GUIs is not available. Like they can start with the unit testing, because when they go for unit testing, at the time the entire GUI may not be available. Only the core units that will be developed. So we can start the testing at that stage itself. It can start at the very early stage. So disadvantage, one of the major disadvantages, it will be very time consuming as well as very expensive, because it will be running for many days or even weeks if it is really going to be the big application or a software, because they need to cover all the possible um, uh, the tests. So it will take a lot of time, quite complex and expensive. And white box testing by developers is not detailed, because sometimes it may lead to a production environment. So they need to have the professional resources where they can able to have a quite understanding about the programming and the implementation. As we just mentioned, it's a time consuming. It will take more time.
But actually, sir, in industries, what happens is people will not do white box testing itself because developers have to do, and they don't
Okay,
have time to do it itself. So
exactly.
usually, not do any white box, it will directly come to the testing team.
Oh, okay, very good information, Mr. Sundar. Like sometimes the project will be having a very strict deadlines. As and when they completed the unit testing, it will be pushing to the production, and they'll be having very less time. As you mentioned, like in reality, probably people may not prefer to go for a white box testing, even though we have this category. They may go for a black box testing, or they may go for gray box testing, right? So where they can able to complete the exercise in the stipulated or the given time, so that the application can be released to the live environment. So probably one of the time constraint, or probably that may not be their business requirement. So probably
Yeah,
you're
actually,
right.
there are a lot of tools in the market nowadays, sir. So for unit testing,
Okay.
JUnit, test engine, there are
Yes.
a lot of different frameworks are there that would help them to conduct the white box testing. So which is a kind of
Okay.
an automated fashion. Okay,
Okay. Very good,
so
sir. Very good. Good
yeah, so
information. Good information.
there are a lot of things nowadays because the market or the requirements are changing frequently based on the customer needs, right? So
Yes. Yes.
since
Exactly.
so since they are under pressure to deliver in a short span of time, so there are a lot of
Yes.
tools in the market that help them to do the unit testing. That is how
Okay.
they are doing. And also on the black box side, sir, so whenever the
Yeah.
requirement comes to the developer, at that same time the functional tester started writing the test cases, and also they started automating the test cases for the upcoming release as well. Earlier the
Okay.
approach was like something like they will do only for the regression testing. Now it
Yes.
is not the case. So they are started hands working with the developer hands to hands, stating that, I mean, understanding the requirements, gathering the screens and identifying the XPath of the objects and everything, and they start writing the functional test case as well.
Very good, sir. Very good.
So
Yeah,
Very good
and
information.
these are happening parallel. These
yeah,
are all happening parallel, sir. Nowadays, it is
yeah,
not
yeah.
the case
In
like
starting of the
waterfall model or something. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
sorry to interrupt. Actually, in the start of the project itself, we have 3:1 like that. Three developers mean one tester will be there in
Oh,
defining
okay.
or requirements. So from planning itself, there will be one tester, and testing strategies will be made along with the developers only, the team.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. 3:1. So that any unit testing that can be completed within the time frame, as mentioned by Mr. Shiva here, most of these will be running in the parallel fashion.
Correct.
So no need to wait for a kind of a staged kind of phase, so that parallelly they can prepare the test cases for the functional
Yeah.
requirements, and they can perform the unit testing. And when they go for the integration testing or the system testing, probably they'll be very confident, because most of these units have been already tested in their environment. And earlier we used to have the alpha testing, beta testing. Are we still following those traditional testing, sir? Alpha testing, beta testing.
No, sir. From
Yes,
my knowledge,
for
I'm not sure. Mhm.
in my
Good.
team, we are doing one beta.
Okay, okay. Because alpha by the own team, and beta will be done on the customer side, right? On the
Yes, sir.
You are
Alpha
okay.
will
asking about the I mean client side testing, sir. I mean
Yes,
the
client testing, client side testing. Earlier, the alpha will be done by the production, by
no,
the development team itself in their
develop.
environment, test
Yeah.
environment. But beta testing will be done in the client environment, like with the client network, with
okay.
their integration. Like because that was a traditionally they were doing alpha
Yeah.
testing, beta testing, gamma testing, like that.
Yeah, for each and everything we had a separate schedule earlier, sir. Now it is not the case now.
Oh, okay,
Because of
okay.
the market pressure, I mean the business pressure, everything goes parallel.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And you'll be very frequently there'll be a version update on the various software, and that will be pushed
Yeah.
like a lot
Yeah,
of
it's since it is a kind of a competitive market that goes in, right? If
yes,
Amazon want
exactly.
introduce a new product, then again other competitors has to go along with them.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise,
On the
they
fly,
will,
they'll
yeah,
be.
otherwise they will lose the customer.
Yes, 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 yes. Exactly, exactly. So it's a competitive world, and depends upon the future, depends upon the support they provide, and also like time is one of the running factor.
Major extent, yeah.
Yeah, running
Yeah,
factor. And
but in I mean in my team it is very strict because the internal audit team itself is very strict. I mean we have to have these kind of releases, otherwise they'll not rate us good. The audit
yes,
team
yes,
will.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, they will look into these parameters, like before promoting to deployment or before promoting to production. So how the testing has been completed, and about the results of the testing also. So the from the auditing standpoint, they'll be looking into those parameters.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, sir.
earlier they are not able to do, I mean, two rounds of testing when they are doing it manually. Since the
Okay.
tools and other infrastructures are in place now, they are able to do the testing on daily basis as part of
Oh,
the Jenkins job pipeline. So they
okay,
integrate all those things and everything. Once they have done for
okay.
the day, they can run the job and they can go home.
Oh,
So
okay. They
finally,
rerun the
and the
test,
next day
rerun the
morning,
test.
yeah, they
Okay.
can rerun as many times, and also you can open up 100 browsers or 1,000 browsers at a time to test different test
Oh,
cases.
very good, sir. Good
So
to
we
know.
have that kind of infrastructure, and also we have that kind of framework in place nowadays.
Very good, sir. Good to know. Good to know, sir. Earlier, we have to wait for the complete completion of a particular module. Then only you can able to. Also, you need to request the other team for testing. And nowadays, like even the developing team itself, they are performing the unit testing. And as you mentioned, it is very feasible for them to rerun the tests as and when there is a requirement.
Yeah,
So
is
no
there
need
any change?
to.
Whatever the changes they made for the day, right? For today, they
Okay.
can
Yes.
run
Yes. Yes.
the
Okay.
previous test cases as well as the new test cases that has been implemented for today as well.
Very
Okay,
good, sir. Very good, sir. Good
so
information.
tomorrow morning they will come and see the results. What are the things that work well, and what are the
Okay.
things that not went well as expected? So they will go and fix the issues, and they can run it.
Okay. Okay, no need to wait for the bug cycle to happen to
Ah,
identify it and do it in the
yes,
later stage. So that
yes,
will be very
yeah,
costly for them to fix.
correct, yeah.
Very good, sir. Very good information. Very good information, Mr. Shiva, Mr. Sundar. Good. Coming back to the black box testing, here there will be no information will be given. So it's a kind of a black box. They know it's only about the set of series of input, and based on the output they'll be coming to know whether the software, the module that is working as per the design, or it is having any kind of an error. So kind of a black box testing. They do not have any information, and this is a step-by-step process how to perform the black box. So testers will be choosing the valid inputs from the positive test scenario, and they'll be following the process, and they'll be just verifying only the against the output. They'll be executing all the test cases with all the actual outputs that has been expected, and defects, if any, or it will be fixed and it will be retested. Then types of black box testing: functional testing, non-functional testing, regression testing. So these are the various types of testing. And techniques: equivalence class testing, boundary value testing. They'll be trying to provide the values. Then decision table testing. Some of the other types of testing which will help them to complete. The tools: load runner, JMeter, QTP, Selenium. This is for the functional and non-functional testing. Sometimes the organization will be having a confusion whether they want to go for white box or black box. There are advantages and disadvantages. If they want to go for a functional requirements, and black box is the one. Then we have one more model: gray box testing, partial knowledge, partial information that will be given to the testing team. It's a combination. You can have the benefits of both the white box and black box when you go for the gray box testing. You'll be able to test the both the sides of the application. And how to perform the gray box testing. And some of the strategies, how to go for it. So with this, we are completing the unit 1. So do we have any doubts, any queries? So today we completed unit 1, and the next session we'll be discussing about unit 2. And unit 2 talks about the security audit. So we'll be discussing about the different types of the frameworks, the standards, and the best practices, and about the security auditing practice also we will be discussing in detail in the unit 2.
Sir, can you share the PPT now itself so that we go through the topics whatever is going to cover?
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir. I will request ma'am to share the material to you. We have already shared the material with the ma'am. So let me check with ma'am, and we'll definitely you will be getting the material, sir. You'll be getting the presentation, and whatever the text material you are finding in the PPT, it is taken from your courseware. I don't want to confuse you referring to material. But only thing, the images, the pictures I have added separately from the Google search to match your syllabus. Because certain things, when I want to explain from a pictorial basis, it will be easy for to explaining. So the text content, it is taken only from your course material. On top of that, I have added only few pictures. We will share it, sir. Definitely we'll share it, Mr. Vinod. Definitely we'll share it. Anything else before wrapping today's session?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I want to thank all for joining today's session, especially special thanks to Mr. Vivekanandan, Mr. Muhammad Farooq, Mr. Ravi, Mr. Sundar, as well as Mr. Shiva, adding their information from their end, from the real-time experience. Definitely, all the participants will be benefited from those comments. So thank you all. Thank you also for adding the comments. And thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Bye.